The 417 Gamers is a group of board, tabletop, and card gamers in the 417 area code. This is the podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast, episode 37, the one with card games. Originally, this was going to be titled the one with David and card games, but life happens. David had some things happen to the house, and he couldn't record with us for this first episode. So, we're going to have to... We're going on and we're recording episode 37. In the 4, Andrea and I discuss 4 games that we have been playing recently. We talk about Azul Duel, Archaeology the card game, Trailblazers, and A Gentle Rain. In the one topic of the show, we are going to talk about card games, what we like about them, what we don't like about them. And in the 7, we're going to reveal 7 of our favorite card games. Without further ado, the 417 Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast. My name's Rick.
And I'm Andrea.
And as I said at the top of the show, we want to apologize. We were hoping to have David Stansfield on both of these episodes, but life happens, and he's not able to record with us with episode 37, but he will hopefully make it back for episode 38.
Yes, absolutely.
In the 4, Andrew, what do we talk about?
4 games we've been playing recently.
All right. Do you want to kick the first one off? You want me to go first?
Well, let's talk about Azul Duel.
Okay. Azul Duel. This is published by Next Move Games. It is designed by Michael Kiesling, the same designer of the original, just Azul. Mm-hmm. This is in a 2-player format.
And we were very excited. Okay, I was very excited to get this because when we got Splendor Duel, we have played that 50 times as soon as we got it. And we liked Splendor. I loved Splendor Marvel, and you weren't sure we needed a third Splendor game.
Because it played nicely at 2.
Both games.
Yeah.
So we're like, we picked it up, and man, we loved it. It was different enough, it was unique enough, but still had the same flavor of regular Splendor, and we have played it over and over. So we loved regular Azul. We've had all of the other Azul variants, like Queen's Garden and Summer Pavilion and all the... So when Azul Duel came out, I had super high hopes.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. And we're going to play it again. Because you weren't feeling the greatest when we played it at the convention.
I was very ill when we played it the first time.
It's still drafting, but you're drafting tiles to put on your board, and then you're drafting the pieces to put on those tiles. Mm-hmm. It's got some interesting decisions, but I don't think... The decisions you make in this game aren't as impactful or interesting as the base Azul, even.
Yes.
And I think Queen's Garden is... It's too fiddly for newer gamers, but for me and you, Queen's Garden scratched a stronger itch, but then we acquired some other games... And we kicked a Queen's Garden out of our collection.
We did, but we kept the original because it's great for light gaming for family and family and friends.
And we have the expansions for it too, the board overlays and the other boards that have alternate scoring methods.
But I do not believe that Azul Duel is going to be a stair-step game for anyone. This is too fiddly and complicated for introductory or light gamers, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
I think there's too many decisions, too much going on. If you're looking to play Azul with your significant other or a friend, and they're not, a traditional gamer, you should probably pick the regular introductory Azul.
Gotcha. I'm going to go with Archaeology, the card game. This is a game that we played with some friends. We went over there, had some steaks, some tri-tip, and they grilled some corn, which was delicious. And they're gamers too, but we never know what people have, so we bring... maybe it's just what I do. It is what I do.
Right.
That I come with my bag of games, come armed to come play games. And they're like, hey, we like this card game. I'm like, absolutely, let's play your game too, because we showed them... River Valley Glassworks, they love that. We played Scout, and I don't think they had played too many trick-taking games.
Yes, they had never played like Spades or Hearts or anything like that.
So we played through a couple hands of that, but then they brought out Archaeology, the card game.
Which neither of us had ever played.
No, but we picked it up on the used shelf from a friendly local game store over last summer. And it's just sat there, and I forgot all about it until I saw it on their shelf, and they're like, oh, yeah, we like this game. I'm like, oh, yeah, we need to play that. Mm-hmm. Because as of this recording, we just passed up the Metagames Flea Market. Spoilers, this didn't exit our collection.
We kept it. We liked it that much.
So this is designed by Phil Walker Harding. It was published by Z-Man Games. It came out in 2016. So it's 9 years old. In the game, you're drafting cards to make sets and collections. It's themed that you guys are exploring the Egyptian desert. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to find treasures and different...
Each card has a different, like, pot shards or a different a map. There are...
piece of a sarcophagus.
Yes. So you're an archaeologist. You're collecting these artifacts, and different numbers of cards give you different points once you get a certain set or number of them combined. And then whatever you don't use, you can use for money. Each card can be used as $1 to purchase other artifacts that are in the discard tableau. And
the better cards to collect are also worth more money. So it depends, like the sarcophagus, there's only 4 in the game, but they're worth $4 a piece, and that can buy some stuff.
Yes.
So it's kind of that push-pull. Whether do you want to spend it to buy cards in a tableau or a face-up kind of tableau to draft? Mm-hmm. You have to pay for your drafting, but... And then there's a couple take that cards that might come up. One is the robber. And you get to thief from somebody else randomly. They do the whole shuffle up, kind of like in Catan and some various other games. Pick a card, and somebody's frowny face if you take the one that they were really hoping to build up towards. And then, you'll have some games where somebody just keeps on, every other hand they grab the thief and just thief the crap out of you.
I think Bonnie got 4 thieves right in a row.
she thieved the crap out of people, and she did darn well.
Yeah, she did.
And then there's also the Sandstorm that'll clear out half of your hand, rounding down, and all those cards go out to the market. If you get hit with a Sandstorm on your turn, because you're drafting every round, you're taking a card, you can then go grab another card. But if you were the thief, you stole from somebody, you got a card that round.
Right.
Once you do that, you can decide if you want to buy from the market with cards out of your hand, or if you want to lay them down for their sets. But once they're laid down, you cannot add to them. You cannot use them to spend. They're there.
But no one can steal them either.
That's true.
And the Sandstorm cannot wipe them away.
Yep. So once they're down, they're down. So that's another one of those games of chicken, like, do I want to get rid of this, or...
keep it and hope to gain more.
Yep. Andrea, what's another one that we've been playing?
Trailblazers, another little pocket-sized card game.
Uh-huh.
It has art reminiscent of the Parks card games. There are little... The cards are small and square, and you lay them down in a tile-laying fashion, even though they are just cards. And you are trying to make pathways from your different camps. You're trying to make water pathways, hiking trails, a kayak loop, and a biking trail. Mm-hmm. There are... I'm not sure how many cards are in the set. I'm looking at it right now. It comes in a small pocket-sized box, which I like. It would fit nicely in my purse that we could play, if we were waiting at dinner somewhere. Sure. But it does take up quite a bit of table space as you're laying them down.
It's deceptive.
Your paths can be quite large if you for example, your end of game goal cards, you shuffle them up and deal them out. They can be encircle another camp. Whoever has the most hiking trail loops that come back to your camp, encircle 2 of your other camps with your hiking trails, and so on and so forth. I will say I really enjoy this game.
Yeah, I do too.
You can lay the tiles down. You're given 3 tiles, and then you get to lay down 1. and then you...
This is what you wanted Curious Cargo to be, I think.
I think you're right, yeah.
Because Curious Cargo has the pipes to make the paths, but then it's got that other I Love Lucy little conveyor where you're trying to get your pieces out and shove them over to your neighbors and get the points.
Yeah.
But I think you just kind of want to build the pipes.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. We've played it several times. I'd play it again right now. I'm really happy with it. So if you're looking, and it's lightweight game.
Yep.
It's introductory weight.
The cards are half-size cards.
Yes, they are.
So, and just envision a card and cut it lengthwise, top to bottom, and you're using halves of it. Or actually, what are they? They're squares and they're cut in half?
Well, the squares are your camps.
Right, but each one of those cards are half that size.
Yes, but the pathways are cut in half.
So they're a square card and they're cut in half. They're not a regular playing card.
Yes.
But yes.
But they're...
They're half size. Whenever you play them, they can have 1, 2, or all 3 path styles on them, and then you could play them either adjacent to or covering other tiles.
Yes, that's another thing I like about it. When you're laying them down, you can lay, if you get something better, you can lay it over a previously laid card. Not even completely, it could be half covering as well. So I really like that.
And it changes the path completely. You could have a loop going and now it's going straight and vice versa.
Yeah. I wouldn't say this is a great for heavy gamers, but just a nice, light little refresher game.
Icebreaker or
30 minutes or less.
A choring game.
Yeah.
We love our choring games. On a Sunday when we got to get the laundries done, we got to get some cleaning done. Or if it's a Saturday and we're having friends over and this place has to get clean before we have the friends over, we put out a game, we do a little chores, come back and do a little gaming. You know, with whenever we do the Terraforming Mars or Arc Nova, we like putting that big sucker out, and we'll play a couple turns and go do some chores and come back. But but when you're in the middle of those and you have a really juicy turn coming up, it's hard for you to go, I got to go full close.
Yeah. And this one, we have not played it at 4 yet.
No.
It's 1 to 4 players.
We've played it at 2 and 3.
2 and 3. But I'm excited to play it at 4. Again, I wouldn't say if you're a heavy gamer, you need to have this in your collection. But for something small and light to throw in the bag.
It's a tiny box.
30 minutes or less.
It's one of those games that our collection could keep on going up into the 400s and 500s if we had all these tiny games, and I wouldn't think a thing of it.
Yeah, you could probably put 80 of these in one cube.
Just take one of the big box games we have, chuck all the stuff out of it, and put all the little bitty box games in there. But yeah, that's designed by Ryan Courtney, published by Bitewing Games. It came out in 2023. The last game we're going to talk about is A Gentle Rain. A Gentle Rain is designed by Kevin Wilson, published by Incredible Dream Studio. A Gentle Rain is either a solo or a cooperative game. There's just a few tiles. Each one of the tiles, they have 4 sides to them. Each of the sides are different flower colors. There's blue, there's a light purple, a dark purple, an orange, a red, and a yellow. Whenever you place them together, you want to try and match up colors. And then the tiles also have a divot at the corners. If you can get a divot completely encircled by tiles that match on all their flowers, you can then put out a flower disc because it is bloomed, because the gentle rain has given it the nutrients it needs to open up. And the goal of the game is trying to get rid of all of your discs, all the flowers, and then however many tiles you have left, that's your score. It's tough. It's a little puzzle.
It's a difficult puzzle game.
What
year did this come out?
This came out in 2021.
Really? Because if looking at the art on this, it's that old avocado green, look like those refrigerators used to be in the 60s and 50s. The art is very nostalgia-esque to me.
The artist on this was Chris Bilhemeyer and Victor Kozra.
The flowers almost have a stained glass quality to them in their design. I would have thought it would be a much older game, but it is another small pocket-sized game.
And this with Trailblazers, I picked up from one of the gamers in the 417Gamer group. We allow. I mean, people can post their sales or trades as they wish, and there was somebody that they weren't playing it anymore, and she was looking to move it along, and we picked it up.
Right.
And I think we got a winner out of both of them.
Yeah, I think so. And eventually we might float them down the river to someone else, but for the time being, I'm still enjoying playing both of them.
Nice of them. That was the 4 in the 417Gamer podcast. The next is the one.
Topic of the show.
What's the topic of the show?
It's going to be card games.
Yay!
Moon City Con for Meeple Kind is headed to the Hilton Garden Inn in Springfield, Missouri, June 6th through the 8th. Get your badges at mooncitycon.com. That's right, we're headed to Saturn this year. We invite board gamers of all ages to join us on Titan this June. On Saturn's largest moon and the second largest in the entire solar system. This year we're excited to introduce brand new events and thrilling challenges for everyone to enjoy. And of course, we're bringing back fan favorites, including the best play-to-win selection in Springfield, daily prizes, and vendor raffles. Also, we'll be having our first ever silent charity auction, benefiting the Care Animal Rescue Clinic. Don't miss this chance to be a part of an unforgettable gaming adventure. Register now, and together, let's conquer Titan for all Meeple kind. Get your badges at mooncitycon.com, and we'll see you in Springfield, Missouri, June 6th through the 8th at the Hilton Garden Inn.
The one in the 417Gamer podcast is our topic of the show. We're talking about card
games.
So, we have a big, huge collection of card games, and we're talking about non-traditional card games. Traditional card games played with a typical 52 card deck. We'll probably do another podcast topic on it.
Right, because I love spades, hearts, Texas Hold'em, all of those.
And I'd like to play a few of the games that we don't know about, like Egyptian Rat Screw, Garbage, stuff like that I've seen pop up every now and again. I mean, heck, I wouldn't even mind on a Thursday game night just doing a traditional card, or games with a traditional deck, I should say.
There you go.
Because you can actually play werewolf with a deck of cards.
Interesting.
Use the black suits as your werewolves, and then use the reds as your town.
Interesting.
You play either use the Joker as your seer or use the ace. So
I never heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, taking a look at non-traditional card games. First off, how many components or how much of a board do you need before you don't consider it a card game any longer?
Well, for me, I think 50% or more of the game needs to be card-based for it to be considered a card game.
Because, we talked about Seven Wonders Duel. There's a little board over the top that tracks your military progression, and it also has science tokens and the tokens that you lose money if the military gets too far.
But those tokens are card-based. The military ranking comes from the amount of cards you have, still all card related.
So for you, Seven Wonders Duel, card game.
Yes.
For me, that's a bit too much components for me. I kind of hemmed and hawed on that.
Really?
It's a board game.
No, it's a card game.
Splendor Duel. It's a board game.
Cards.
But Splendor, even though it has poker chips, for me, card game.
It is a card game because everything is card based.
I know. And then
it's a card game that has chips.
It's true.
Like Texas Hold'em.
But and then
card
you have,
game that
you
has
have a game
chips.
like No Thanks, which is some poker chips and cards. Llama is a game with cards and little bitty poker chips or little bitty black and white chips. It's a card game. But then you look at Wingspan and Finspan and Wormspan. It's a game with cards you're putting on top of a board, but then you have boards, so board game. But the game would not work without the cards, although I think you might be able to, roundabouts, play the game without the boards.
I agree. So maybe that's a criteria. Could you play the game without the board? Is that what you'd consider a card game?
Nope. They're still board games.
I'm standing by my 50% of the mechanics have to be card based.
You stand on your 50%.
I will.
And David from Board Game Famous, a friend of the show, we were discussing back and forth. Dominion is all cards. It's a deck building game. He considers it a board game, and I'm like, it's all cards. It's a card game. Because we did the question of the weekend that we do in the 417Gamer group every Friday, and April 3rd was the Friday or 4th? Whatever the Friday was, that was the question of that Friday, was what's your favorite card game? And for him, he was posting like Scout and some other stuff, and I'm like, I'm surprised you didn't put Dominion in there. Or no, Flip 7. I'm like, you didn't put Dominion. He goes, well, I consider Dominion a board. And then I was like, where's the board? Because that's just a whole bunch of cards. You know, it's like Ascension. It's a card game.
Obviously, Magic the Gathering.
Card game. Does it being a card game diminish? Does it potentially diminish its value in your eyes? Whenever
Not at all.
Whenever you're
No.
making your top 10 games of all time, how high does a card game make it?
I think it wouldn't affect my opinion whether it had cards or not. Do I like the game or not? It just has nothing to do with the being
Because I was
card
looking
based or not.
at my top 10. My number one's Concordia, it's a board game. 2 is Viticulture. 3 is Pitch Car. 4 used to be Twilight Imperium 4, but it's been 2 years since I played that sucker, and I need to play it before I can say it's in my top 10 anymore. Bruges at one point used to be in there. I mean, that's all card combos, but it's a board where you're moving up in ranks and building canals. So that's a board game. It's not until you get into maybe Star Realms and Splendor around in the 10s to 20s.
Okay.
That the first card game comes around on my list, probably. So I'm kind of wondering, is that because it is a card game and it's a smaller box and I don't... So I mean, maybe I'm looking inward and like maybe that's a thing for me. That I don't feel like I value them enough. And is it because they're small card games? Because I love pulling out Scout and teaching new people. Splendor, I'll pull out just about any time. Really like Marvel Remix.
Yeah.
Panda. We got from Jess at Village Meeple. On her birthday, I came and visited her, and she goes, you guys need to bring flyers from Moon City Con, and we're going to get some more printed and get some to her.
Yeah.
But she's like, here. She had cupcakes made from, one of her friends made her some cupcakes, and they were all board game themed, and there was a panda on it, and she asked me to guess all of them. The only one I didn't know was, I didn't know 2, I guess. The one was the Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. It had a little lightning bolt on a backing, and it's a component in there. And we played it a couple times, and we didn't hate it, but we weren't super enthused. And she loves the game. And nothing against anybody that loves the game. If you love a game we don't, great. There's so many games out there. You can't love them all. Heck, you can't even play them all, I don't think.
Oh, that would be impossible. You could play a new game every day for the rest of your life and not get all the games played.
Yeah. But then there was one with a panda, and I guessed it was Takanoko. And her friend's like, no, it's Panda Panda. I'm like, what's Panda Panda? And for her birthday, she gave me a copy of Panda Panda. So, I need to remember, on my birthday, I've got to do it back. But
Give her a small game.
Cute little card game where you're just trying to make your hand, at the start of your turn, a winning hand. And there's like 10 different ways you can win. But your hand has to have the exact number of cards and the exact cards to win. But it's a cute little game.
Yeah.
Do you prefer... Is there a card type you prefer, and is there a card type you don't care for?
Yes, actually. Like we had talked about Trailblazers earlier. You're holding those cards in your hand. They're small, odd-shaped, difficult to shuffle cards.
Yeah.
That diminishes its value to me slightly. However, it does make it all fit in the tiny box that I can drop in my purse, which raises it back up.
Yeah.
So it's a trade-off. I prefer the traditional, easy to hold in your hand card size.
I like the little cards, except for, like you said, the shuffle. I hate shuffling little cards. That's why, if you ever get the original Ticket to Ride, you immediately get the was it the 1810 or the 1910 expansion, which gives you full-size cards. Mm-hmm. It also gives you a couple more in-game goals, like the Globetrotter ability and the what's the other one? There's a couple other in-game goals that you can throw in the game. Mm-hmm. And there's more routes that they throw in there too. But primarily, it's the big cards so I can shuffle them.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing 4 and 5 players of a Ticket to Ride, you're going to shuffle the deck at least a time or two.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you play 5, you're going to probably shuffle it 3 or 4 times. I hate shuffling little cards. In fact, another one of my favorite games, Chinatown, has those little bitty cards for the properties. And I went on GameCrafter, and they make wood and burn tokens that supplant the little bitty property cards.
Ah.
So you pull out the token, and those are your properties, and you put them on the map. Because then I can just throw the tokens in a bag, and that shuffles anyway.
Yeah.
You just jingle the bag, and the tokens are shuffled.
But is it no longer a card game?
Well, Chinatown's a board game because it has a board.
It's a board game with cards.
But just speaking on card styles,
Yeah.
square cards are kind of in the middle. They shuffle fine, but they're awkward to hold, like you said. But they give you a lot of options on if you're trying to lay them tile style in a grid fashion, or if you want to play them and they need to go east, west, up, down.
Yeah. I don't mind the squares as much. I don't mind holding them in my hand. The tiny cards is where I have an issue.
Card finishes. Some of the board games we play have that linen finish that feel nice for the first 3 to 5 games, but then they start getting grimy. Mm-hmm. Scout had that problem. The original Oink printing that we got, they had that. It feels nice your first couple games, and like, oh, these are nice. And then it starts feeling grimy quick.
It just gets this tacky finish on it that feels weird on your hands, which I agree.
And I don't have to have plastic coated cards, but man, I would prefer the bicycle wax coating to anything.
I'd agree with that.
I'm not planning on. I will ask you if you want me to, if I can riffle shuffle your cards. Actually, most of the times I do the little over under in between shuffles.
Yeah.
And I don't even ask to riffle shuffle cards unless somebody just comes out like, oh, you can just shuffle.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean shuffle? You want me to do a wash? No, you can just do a bridge. I'm like, yeah, I can riffle shuffle, but
yeah. I think washing them does the best shuffle, but it on cards that have a top and a bottom, you totally mess that up, and that bugs me because I have to go through and reorient them where all the tops are at the top.
See, and it helps when the backs have a direction so you can reorient them.
Yeah.
But I hate that on playing cards because since the fronts are up, down, universal, I want the backs to look that way too. So if it says Harry Potter, I want it to have a mirror below it that's going, the opposite way. So it doesn't matter how I shuffle them together.
Yeah.
Because when I look at somebody's hand and the logos are in different directions, and I don't like it. It's not a shutdown thing, but it's like,
yeah.
It's a grumbly old man shaking the fist. Yeah. Sleeved or not sleeved?
So sleeving makes them impossible to riffle shuffle. In my,
but I think it makes it easier to shuffle, especially little cards.
And I also, in the questions of the show, whenever we have a new person on, what advice would you give your younger self just getting into the hobby? One of our friends said, sleeve your cards as soon as you buy the game. Don't wait until they start getting damaged and then decide to sleeve them.
Yeah.
I was like, brilliant, genius. Yeah. That's exactly what you should do.
Yeah, get sorted into Shuffle House or not Shuffle House. Don't choose later.
Right. So I am a proponent of sleeving cards in games that we love to protect the cards. Yes,
especially
I'm a sleever.
Big games.
I'm a sleever.
Little card games, I generally don't care, except for we were playing Scout so much, and I think the finish was more important that we sleeved it on than it was the game itself, because I have no problem rebuying Scout over and over.
That's what I was going to say. Sometimes sleeving them costs more than just buying a whole new game.
Because I don't want cheap penny sleeves. I want the really nice sleeves that are going to hold up for a while. So I will spend,
right,
$5-10 on a pack of sleeves, and then.
But a game like Flip 7, to sleeve those makes no sense. You could just buy a new one.
Yeah. But pet peeves from card games. Is there something that you just cannot stand that some cards or card games do?
I will say that sometimes the tiny print I can't read.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a young man's game, playing card games. I don't know. But there are a lot of where they have the little print at the bottom, whether it is information about the card, like on Magic, where they've got, little information down at the bottom that is tied to that particular card, or like in Wingspan, where they've got information about the particular bird on the card.
Right.
The majority of cards, the print is just fine. I can read them. But there are, once in a while, I'll be like, I hand it to you. I was like, what's this say? I don't know. Iconography is another small pet peeve where you have to, I don't know what this means. We got to open up the rule book to see what the iconography means. And sometimes the finish. It makes a shine on them to where
You get a big glare.
You have a glare and it's hard to see, and which doesn't really matter so much when you're holding the cards in your hand because they're easy to adjust. But if the cards get splayed out on the table in tableau style, I have noticed some of the games we play with friends where they're like, I can't see, there's a glare on that, and they have to stand up and look at them a different
another
way.
reason why I like those board game brand sleeves. They're supposed to be anti-glare.
Yes.
Which I do like that. For me, my biggest pet peeve is companies, and maybe it's an issue at the printer or whatever, when they don't round the corners on cards. When you have sharp corners on your cards, they're going to get dog-eared, they're going to get marked.
They're going to bend.
They're going to bend. And even if you sleeve them over time, they're going to get bent and marked. And it's very easy in a card game, or it's hard not to cheat, I should say. If it's your card game and like if it's got that little wiggle in the dog ear that it comes around, I'm like, oh, I know what you have.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pull yourself out of that. So, I mean, that's probably my biggest pet peeve. Maybe if it's a designer style card game, not having a box that can close with sleeved cards. If you are making a designer style game, and that's like Llama or Flip 7, I know you said there no reason to sleeve Flip 7, but for those that do want to and want to keep it, the box is more than big enough, at least the original box, more than big enough for sleeved cards. They have a new J-hook style tuck box that can go at major retailers, and that's small enough, but that's then geared towards your mass retailers, and I get that that's not big enough.
Yeah.
But when you get, I don't know, like Ohanami had that little bitty collapse, little bitty box, but if you sleeved Ohanami, it would come nowhere near to closing if you sleeve that sucker, and I love Ohanami.
Yes.
What's the coolest mechanic you've seen in a card game?
Man, I don't know. I like in Wingspan the bird information. I like education.
Probably my favorite mechanic is going to be Flower Fall. In Flower Fall, you are flinging your cards on a table, and whenever they land, they create different paths and groupings of flower colors, and you're trying to get your flower color to be the dominant flower out there. There's not, to my knowledge, there's not a lot of dexterity card games. Oh, Rhino Hero is a dexterity card game, but you're building a card tower, and that's kind of Jenga-ish. But Flower Fall, I've heard of people even playing it and dropping it from like a set of stairs up and just trying to just drop it down.
Yeah.
Which makes it even harder to try and make groups. But Flowerfall plays up to like 8. And it's a game that we got at the Geekway garage sale either last year or the year before. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what's that? And we just played it 2-player and you're like, that's cute. And I said, not only cute, it plays a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So we've held on to it, and I keep on forgetting to take it out to a game night just so we can play it with more people. Because it's an icebreaker game. It's not going to be a feature game that you're going to play forever that night. But it's something that, waiting for people to set up, we've got an odd number of people, like 7 or 3, and you're like, there are more people going to show up. Instead of just sitting around, just, how was your day? Fine. How was your day? Well, I went to work. Sucked. Like, all right. Instead, let's just start playing games.
Yeah.
Anything else you think we need to add on card games?
I don't have a problem with a board game having a card element.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a problem with a card game having a board game element. Mm-hmm. I do like having a handful of cards. And I don't know if that is reminiscent of being a child and holding your cards or growing up playing games like spades and hearts
and rummy and all that stuff with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of nostalgia to it, I think.
And so many movies and shows that we've grown up with play poker and all that stuff. And it's just, maybe we've just been ingrained with that. A handful of cards just feels nice.
Mm-hmm. I will say the one biggest card game of all time, Magic the Gathering. Uh-huh. My brother used to play, and I have seen him get so upset if one of his prized cards gets damaged. Oh. Because they are like almost like Pokemon cards. The better condition they're in, the more they're worth.
Sure.
I've also seen people take the common magic cards that aren't worth more than a penny a piece, mm-hmm. and use them for cut them up or use them for floor coverings and put epoxy over them. I think stuff like that is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Because the art is still really cool on them, even if the card itself is worth less than a penny a piece or something like that. So I've seen some really cool artwork done with those type of cards. I kind of think I would like to play Magic a little bit, just because it's that fantasy realm that I like so much theme wise.
Now we might have to get you to the metagames guys and Ben Ennis at the Moon City Con. Maybe you need to sit in with their commander and learn.
I'm also hesitant to get into a hobby that has such a large cost involved.
Well, I mean, because it's one of those that you put in to try and get what you want to out of it.
Right.
Like Ben's built himself several decks that do this and do that, do the other. And then he built his wife, as they've talked on our podcast. Mm-hmm. She's got 3 decks. She's got a vampire girl, and then she's got a variation on the vampire girl, and then I forget what the third deck's something else. It has to do with a character she was reading in a book. But I guarantee you there's probably some dragon decks out there.
Oh, yeah.
So
now you're talking my language.
Yeah, but
I'm going to want that $50 dragon card or that $100 rare hollow shiny.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll put that on the shelf for now.
Let's put it on the shelf. Dialing back to the original question, how much board before it's no longer a card game? I think there's that hybrid in the middle. You know how a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not necessarily a square?
Agreed.
I think that is not true with card and board games. I don't think a card game is always a board game, and I definitely don't think certain board games are card games.
Okay, yeah.
So if you have a game like Flip 7, that is a card game, not a board game in my eyes. And if you have a game like... Viticulture still has cards.
Concordia has cards.
Concordia has cards, but it's not a card game.
Terraforming Mars, cards.
And Terraforming Mars, you could potentially argue to me that it's 50-50. It's a card game, board game. I would give you that. Bruges, one of my favorite games. I would put that as a card game, board game. But I firmly believe that there are some games that are embedded in one camp or the other, not both.
I acknowledge your points.
And with that acknowledgement, what should we do next?
I think we should go to the 7.
And talk about
The 7
card games
that we like the most.
Let's do that. You're listening to the 417Gamer podcast, and there's multiple ways to follow us. You can follow us through the Libsyn website at hobbygamingnetwork.libsyn.com. Follow us on Spotify. Search Hobby Gaming Network or 417Gamer Podcast. Find us there. On Instagram, we are Hobby Gaming Network. On YouTube, follow us with the 417Gamer channel. And, of course, if you'd like to direct any show notes and any comments to us, facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. Let's get back on with the 7. The 7 in the 417Gamer podcast is our 7 favorites or 7 representations of the given category. We are talking card games. Andrea, what is your number 7 card game?
Sushi Go.
Yeah.
I think that Sushi Go is a great game that everyone needs to have in their collection. It's fantastic to always have in the game bag to pull out when we've got a few minutes to kill, or if we have brand newbies coming out or friends coming over. It is light, it's fun, it's set collection. It's a great representation of what a card game should be.
Sushi Go is designed by Phil Walker Harding. It is published by Game Right Games, and it came out in 2013.
And there's also a Sushi Go party version.
There is. Which one do you prefer?
I think I like the party better.
Do you?
Because I like it when we have a big group of people.
Yeah. My number 7 is going to be Oh My Goods. This came out in 2015. It is designed by Alexander Pfister and is published by Lookout Games. Oh My Goods does one of my favorite things with cards. They're multi-use cards. The cards can be used for either play them as a building, play them as a resource, or play them as the storage boxes. I guess that's the resource. Well, they have different resources too, because on the left side they can be like glass or cloth or coal. And then whenever you flip them over at top of the building, that's the storage of the whatever resource that building produces. So it could be 2 different ones. In Oh My Goods, you have yourself as a worker, and if you can work efficiently, you get to produce 2 goods at that building. And then as you hire other workers, if whatever they do produces, then you could potentially do a chaining from those buildings that could trigger other buildings to do the things that those buildings need to do. Mm-hmm. It's one of the more complicated and heavy card games that we own. We don't get it to the table as much as we'd like to, and I need to get a refresher on the rules. I'd like to pull it back out. Mm-hmm. It plays really good at 2 and 3. I don't care for it at 4 because you go through the cards and you're shuffling the crap out of them.
Sure.
But that is Oh My Goods at number 7. That brings us on to number 6. My number 6 is going to be... Is it really that low? It sure is. Bonanza. And I love me some Bonanza.
You do.
So I did my ranking on the Pub Meeple ranking engine, and I kept most of it the same. Although there was a game that, with our argument, is it a board game, is it a card game, that I hemmed, hawed, and argued with myself and kicked it out because it's too much of a board game. But Bonanza is designed by Uwe Rosenberg. This is his best game. It was released in 1997.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd think everyone out there would think this is the best Uwe game.
Hell no. This is the best Uwe game. They're free to be wrong. In Bonanza, you have 2 plots of land that you're farming beans with. And each plot of land can only hold 1 type of bean. You have a hand of cards. When you're dealt them, you cannot reorganize them. They are stuck that way. You decide which side is the front, which side is the back. And for the rest of the game, you always plant from the front. When it comes to your turn as the active player, you must plant your very first card. If either one of your plots of land has beans in it that do not match, you're going to have to uproot to be able to plant that bean. Then you may plant a second card out of your hand if you have the ability and or want to do so. And then you get 2 cards off the top of the deck as the offering. You can keep these for yourself. You can trade these to others. But once those flip out, trading with the active player is open. You can do trading to and from that player, but anything traded gets planted at the end of that round. You cannot retrade anything that was traded to you. So if Andrea is the active player and I trade her a green bean for a chili bean, she cannot then try and retrade that green bean to somebody else.
Because it must be planted.
Yes. Then at the end of that turn, they get 3 cards that go to the back of their hand in the order that they're dealt. Cannot reorder. Then it goes on to the next player. So if you noticed in your hand, the card coming up is not going to be able to be planted. You have X number of turns according to how many other players you're playing with to get rid of those cards via trade or donation. Now a donation happens if they accept it. You cannot foist and force a donation on somebody. You can ask them, hey, are you looking for a green bean? I sure am. I don't have anything to trade for you. Well, what about a donation, future considerations? Mm-hmm. The only thing that's binding in a trade is that original trade. If I say, hey, I've got 2 blue beans for your green bean, and you're like, all right, I'll do better for you next time. The next time comes around, you don't have to do better. I mean, you meant well. But that is Bonanza, designed by Uwe Rosenberg, came out in 1997. That is Uwe's best game.
You left out the best part of Bonanza.
What's that?
That it's fun.
Oh, it is fun.
It's the trading and the player interaction and the negotiations. Yeah. You know, you're like, oh, I want that black bean. And somebody else is like, I want it too. I got 2 greens. Well, I got 3 chili beans. And, you know, it's just, you're always giggling and having fun. At least I've never had a boring game of Bonanza.
Good. I love me some Bonanza. Which brings us to your number 6, Andrea, which is?
Illusion. I had never heard of this game before you pulled it out, and I'm not even sure how old this game is.
2018. This is designed by Wolfgang Warsch. It is published by... I don't know that game name. Mm-hmm. Pandasaurus.
Pandasaurus.
Yep, Pandasaurus Games in the U.S.
It's a card game where all of the cards have different patterns, and each of the patterns has different percentages of colors on it, whether it's green or yellow or blue or red. The patterns are deceiving on how much of each color is in them because they're pixelated differently, each pattern. And the goal of the game is every time it comes to you, you lay down a card and you are trying to decide whether it has more or less of the chosen color for that round, and where it goes in the order of the cards. Sounds extremely simple. It is not. It is like one of those paintings that you blur your eyes to try and see the image, which I've never successfully done, by the way. My eyes, it just doesn't work. But you're trying to decide what percentage of that card has the chosen color for that round. And if you think that the player before you got it wrong, if they put their card down in the wrong order, you can call, I think that's wrong. And then you can flip the cards over and it says what percentage is it. And if they got it wrong, you get the points. If they got it right, they get the cards as points. This is a fantastic, lightweight, introductory level game that even your parents love.
Oh, my parents love it. My whole family. When we brought it out, you did a birthday where we had, you rented a room, and we had about, I want to say 30 people that filed in throughout the day, and we played various games. Played Tumbling Dice, played Illusion, played tons of different games. And when I played Illusion with my parents and my aunt, Linda, she came by. They were all like, oh, how come we don't play more of this?
Can we play it again?
And we played it again. And then I had the next set of friends come by to play another game with me. And my parents continued to play Illusion there for a little bit.
They're like, you guys go on. We're going to keep playing this.
And I love those games where families like, ooh, what's this? Because that's the way Splendor was when I first brought it out. Because my uncle used to work for Walmart. He would bring games from that were samples, but they were more party games.
Yeah.
But as soon as he played Splendor, it got him into the rabbit hole of the hobby board games. He's like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, another board game. Ooh, another board game.
Then he's calling you up. Hey, you ever heard of this board game? Is it good?
I have. We got rid of it a year ago.
But yeah, this is a great, lightweight family game. Always have it around, in my opinion.
Number 5, Andrea. What's your number 5?
Flip 7. This is a relatively new game to our collection that we've acquired within the last year. It's, in my opinion, a variation of 21. It's a press your luck. Everybody gets dealt cards and you have to decide whether you're going to stop and keep the points that you have, or you're going to try and hit me again and see if you're going to bust. You bust by getting 2 of the same card. In the deck, there are 11 11s, there are 8 8s, there is 2 2s. So you have a good idea of what percentage chance you have of getting another of a card. But the higher number cards are worth more points. 11s are worth 11 and so forth. It's called Flip 7 because if you can get 7 rounds where you flip up 7 cards without busting, you get bonus points.
And you end that round. Nobody else gets to play any more cards.
Yes. There are other cards in there that besides the number cards. There's a one that says Flip 3 where you can either take 3 cards or you can play it on someone else and try and get them to bust. There's a freeze card that you can play on another player to where they can't get any more cards. There's a 1 times 2 to where whatever you have, whatever your end score is, you get to multiply by 2 unless you bust, of course. But yeah, it's a fun press your luck game. I've really enjoyed it. And it's good and it's a good party type game as well.
Yeah. That is designed by Eric Olson. It is published by The Op, formerly USA Opoly. My number 5 is Splendor Marvel. So this is the one that has poker chips, and it's on the verge of being a board game, not a card game, but it's a card game. It's all cards. You honestly, if you wanted to, just reprint all of the chips as cards, I don't know if I'd like it as much. I feel like I should.
I like the chips because they are the Infinity Stones.
I do too.
And I like having them in the
hold
it in your hand chip.
Base Splendor. I would still play that, but would I play it with the cards? If all the chips were cards instead of poker chips?
Yeah, it'd be fine.
I think it'd be fine, but the poker chips do add to it. Anyway, Splendor Marvel is an engine builder where you're trying to collect various Marvel characters to go after the Infinity Gauntlet. On your turn, you can either take Infinity Stones, or if you have the amount, you can pay for characters to add to your team. Mm-hmm. The game ends once somebody has all 6 colors. There's 5 you can get through the characters, and the time stone you can only get by getting a level 3 character, and then having 16 points. Mm-hmm. Whoever does that first starts the end of the game. You finish that turn out, and then whoever has the most points wins. Mm-hmm. Really, really, really like this game. We play it often, and whereas Splendor, we played the crap and played it to death in our group, Splendor Marvel, we still play a lot, and I think Splendor I have 40 to 50 plays on, and Splendor Marvel I have coming upon 30 plays. So I'm about to hit 100 total between the 2 Splendors and Splendor Marvel. If we added Splendor Duel to that, but that brings us to, what is that, number 4?
Yes.
Number 4 is going to be 5 Crowns, and if I wanted to be that person, I could have put it at the 5, but Pub Meeple, the engine, their comparison engine, had 5 Crowns out of 4, and it actually had it at 5 before I kicked out the game that I considered more of a board game. But once it came up to a 4, that's where I had to be.
Yeah.
5 Crowns is designed by Marcia J. Falco. It is published by the Set series or Set Enterprises. 5 Crowns is a better phase 10. So it plays round to round. The cards have 5 suits. Hearts, spades, clubs, diamonds, and stars. And the cards number from 3 to king. Each round, to start off, you're going to start... So the very first round, everybody's going to get 3 cards. The 3 is wild. And on a turn, you will draw a card and discard a card. At any time on your turn, if you can go out, you put your cards out, and then everybody else gets one more play. Mm-hmm. To go out, you either need to have a run of the same color in sequential order, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7... Or you need to have a set, either 3 jacks, 3 kings, 3 threes, so on and so forth. Then once you get through that first round, anybody that was not able to go out, whatever's in their hand is worth face value. So 3 is worth 3 points, 4 is 4 points, jack is worth 11, queen is 12, king is 13. And if you are stuck with there's jokers in the game. If you're stuck with a joker and you were not able to discard it or go out with it, you should be able to. But if you weren't, it's 50 against you, and you don't want points. Mm-hmm. You play every round 3 through king. It's about a 45-minute game, and whoever has the least amount of points wins. Mm-hmm. This is a game that plays very much like a mass market game, and it's sold mass market places at this point.
It is. It's a great dinner party game.
It is. We created a game group out in South Carolina with this game.
Uh-huh.
It was one of those that you get kind of snooty, hipsterish. You get kind of hipsterish about your games. And when one of these games sneaks back up on you, you're like, this is just great. I love playing it with friends, family, and I love playing it with gamers that, love playing the really super heavy games. And then you get through a game of 5 crowns, like, oh,
that was
where
fun.
can I get this?
Yeah, that was
fun. When a heavy gamer asks you where they can get a little card game,
yeah,
it's pretty good. Andrea, you're number 4.
Forest Shuffle.
Yeah.
This is 100% cards.
Yeah.
0% board game. You get your cards are your forest, and some of your cards are animals and some are trees. Mm-hmm. Your trees are different species of trees worth different amounts of points. And then you get your animal cards, and each animal card has an up, down, left, right variation. And you can tuck the cards behind your tree, and whether it sticks out a little at the top or on the side, that is the animal associated with that tree. So each card can hold 4 animals, one at the top and bottom, one on the left and right. Some trees get bonus points if it's completely surrounded by animals. Some trees get different points if you have set collections of different trees and stuff. And then each of the animals has its own base point value and then set collections as well. Like if you can get 5, collect all the butterflies, you get bonus points. Or if you can get the deers and the wolves combos, you get different points. If a tree has 2 bats on it, it gets a different number of points. I love the art. I love the gameplay on it. There's a tableau out in the middle where each card has a different cost, which you pay in cards. You might have to pay, some are free, some cost 2 cards. And when you pay the cost of the card in cards, it goes out into the middle. And then it's a tableau to where the other players can either draft from the deck, or they can, if they're looking for butterflies, for example, and you discard a butterfly, you're like, oh, I need that one, and you can draft it from there. Great little game, fantastic art. There's a lot of strategy involved in this. You can play it with lightweight or heavy gamers. It'll go both ways. I think it's a great example of what a card game can be.
Yes, this is designed by Kosh. It is published by Lookout Games. It came out in 2023. And we currently have all the expansions that are currently released, and I think they've already announced another, which we plan on getting that as well.
Yeah.
What did I say that was? Number
4.
Number 4. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is also Marvel Splendor.
Yeah.
I love Splendor. Splendor was one of the first games I ever played in the board game hobby. And I was like, oh, okay, I can get into this. I get this. It was a good introductory weight level game. And I think that Marvel Splendor is a fantastic gateway game for people who are nerds and love the Marvel and the DC and who aren't necessarily board gamers. This is a fantastic way to get them into the hobby, because even if you don't understand what you're doing to get points for the board game, you certainly understand assembling your Avengers team and collecting your favorite characters. So it's a great game on multiple levels.
This is, and I didn't say it on whenever it was my number, but this is published in 2020 and designed by Marc Andre, published by Space Cowboys.
And I really hope eventually they bring out an expansion to Marvel Splendor, even though there is no talk about it.
Yeah.
If someone who is ever in that industry listens to our podcast, please make an expansion, because there are a lot of characters who didn't get cards that deserve cards in this game.
Ooh.
All of the X-Men, for example.
I wish the X-Men were in there. My number 3 is Monikers. The Monikers was published in 2015. It was designed by Alex Haig and Justin Vickers, published by CMYK Games. Monikers takes the public domain game Celebrity, and they make it with nice art, nice cards, and different point values. Basically, you have a deck of cards with different terminology, celebrity names, places, historical events. Some are family friendly, some are not.
There's a moniker After Hours.
Right. Everybody else draws X number of cards. They are available. They are able to discard X number of cards, whatever they have left in their hand. Everybody shovels into a common deck. Then you split up into teams. You going around. A player will pick up the card and start trying to. There's 3 rounds. First round, they start trying to get everybody to guess their card on their team by describing everything without saying the name. At the very bottom of the card, the tougher the card is, how many points it's worth. If their team can guess it, they get to keep that card for points at the end of that round. You keep on going until the deck is gone. And there's going to be some tough ones that might take several rounds, or several goes around the table. Not round, but you know what I mean. Several times around the table before people get it. But once everything's exhausted, the deck is gone, you tally up the points, let everybody know where you are at the end of the first round. Then you reshuffle the deck with all the same things, and you go into round 2. In round 2, it is 1-word clue only. And you can allow people to pass, or you can house rule that they can't pass. I think we've played both ways. Mm-hmm. If you just want to be really mean, or not necessarily mean, it's just if you played the crap out of it, and you feel like everybody's played enough that they should know how to... Anyway.
Increase the difficulty.
Right. So second round, 1-word clues, you're going through the same exact deck. So there's collective jokes that'll come out of this. There's collective clues that'll keep going. And, like, you might just give the same clue that somebody gave around, just 3 minutes ago, because you're at the last bit of the deck, and somebody might go, scientist. And they start rattling off, Einstein, Newton, all these. And you're like, no, scientist. And the next person comes around, says scientist again. Everybody knows what's not there. But eventually that card will hopefully have touched somebody that already asked that question, and then they'll just go ahead and get it and finish that round.
Yeah.
Then you come to the third round, which is...
charades.
Straight charades. No words, minimal sounds, and acting it out. After 3 rounds and you've played this and you've tallied up scores, whatever team scored the most points wins. And then people have thought up potential round 4s. And I've played a couple of them. Sock Puppets, I've played that one. I've played Under a Sheet. We borrowed. We were in a conference room at Geekway to the West, and we borrowed a brown tablecloth off of one of the tables. And there's a good 20 of us just having a great time, just making motions and just under a sheet. You take a peek at the card, you get under the sheet, start doing it. And it did great. And I used to have a video of us a good chunk of us was the 417 gamers as we used to roll up there in a big group. And the other chunk was just random people that just want to play monikers with us. And that's one thing I love about the hobby. Just sit down, play with somebody you've never met, and have an amazing time.
Yeah.
That was number 3. And the way I talked about it, maybe that should have been higher.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Star Realms. This was published in 2014, designed by Robert Daughtry and Darwin Castle. This is published by Wise Wizard Games. Before Star Realms, I hated deck builders. Friend of the show, David from Board Game Famous, loves Dominion. I detest Dominion. Dominion for me is really good fire starters.
Oh.
Same thing with Ascension. Same thing with Thunderstone Quest. Same thing with DC Deck Builder. Same thing with Street Fighter Deck Builder. I played so many deck builders because everybody kept on telling me, you haven't played the right one. And until I got to Star Realms, I was like, I just hate deck builders. Star Realms goes through the same motions. It's A, B, C, D. A is play your actions. B, do your buying phase. C, clean up all the cards you play, put them in the discard pile. And then D, draw your next hand. But what you're doing is you're attacking your opponent's life. You start with 75, 50, 100 life, whatever you want to play. The game has a set, I think, 75 life. But if you want to play a longer game or shorter game, do it. You start with a hand of crummy little corvettes and little cards that do little bitty bits of 1 damage or buy for little bitty bits of one coin. And anything with a gold is buying. Anything with a red is damage. Anything with a green is healing. Then you have 4 factions that you could potentially buy. The blue tends to be some healing and some more monies. Green it's the blob faction that tends to be more damage heavy. Mm-hmm. Red deals with more culling crappy cards out of your deck to make it more efficient. And gold tends to be drawing more cards, some money, and getting your opponent to discard cards. So the cards, whenever those factions come out, they have their original ability, and directly below, most of them have a secondary ability that triggers if another card from its own faction is played out. Mm-hmm. So if you play 2 golds out, they might have supplemental abilities that'll play. Mm. In addition, you have some cards that'll play sideways that are space bases. And they have they're outposts, and some are bases. The outposts are always played sideways. The bases will have a shield number, either gray or black. Gray, your opponent can target, but they don't have to. But if it's a black, that is a shield for you. They cannot attack you until they defeat that base outpost that has a black shield. I freaking love Star Realms. I play it on the app. I've played it with friends. I think just the physical game, I think I'm in the 80s on just the base game. And then we also have Frontiers, which has I have 30 or 40 log plays of.
And we have the brand new Star Trek version.
We do have Star Trek Realms, which we should be playing more. And maybe we bring that out tomorrow night with your brother.
Yeah. Because all of the ships are from Star Trek. You have the Klingons, you have the Federation, the Romulans.
And what's the 4th one? The Ferengi, maybe?
We've only played it once or twice, which we should, like you said, we should play it more because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Andrea, what's your number 2?
Point Salad.
Ooh.
Point Salad is another one where you pulled it out for the first time, and I was like, okay. And then we were, the group we played it with helped make it really fun because there is, even though you're making your own salad, you start out with the cards in the center are either point cards or vegetable cards. And as the vegetables get taken, the point cards get flipped over and they become vegetables on the other side. And you can see what other cards people have taken previous to you, point card wise, where they're collecting the most carrots, or if they have, odd number of tomatoes, they get points. So those are laid out where you can see. So if you can see someone is getting a lot of carrots, you can hate draft and you can be taking them carrots from them. They're like, hey, I need them carrots.
Yeah, I do.
So there is more player interaction there than you would think just through the traditional gameplay of trying to, collect point cards and then get the vegetables you need. Which I think is a big part of what makes a game fun for me, where you have that, player interaction that's fun. So I really like this. We have a lot of people who really enjoy this game in our game group at our Thursday night when we take it out. They're like, oh, you can play point salad? I'll play some point salad.
Yeah, it's a great icebreaker or palate cleanser.
Yeah.
It's the game where, just like we've talked about some other games, people are waiting to play something bigger or waiting for other friends to come out.
Yeah.
Point salad gets played in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You just smash through one real quick, or people are like standing up and like, all right, we're going to head home. Oh, you're playing point salad?
I got time for that.
I got time for that. and it means they got to play one extra game on game night.
Yeah.
But yeah, Point Salad is designed by Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stinkovich. It is published by AEG, and it came out in 2019. All right, Miss Andrea, we're talking about our number ones. You got your Chwazi out. We'll see who goes first on this.
All right, I think I'll just go first.
You want to go first? All right, what's your number one?
7 Wonders Duel.
Is it a card game?
I think so. How is it not? You tell me how it's not a card game.
It's got a board.
A tiny board that, and you know how you move up and down on that board? By the cards you have.
But you also move up and down a board.
Because of the cards you have. It's a set collection, 100% set collection game. There are small tokens that you can acquire through your cards.
You collect tokens.
Through card set collection. That board that you speak of is simply a track, keeping track of how many cards you have that are military cards. And the number of the power on the military cards can slide it back and forth on the tracker.
It's true.
We're not even going to call it a board. We're going to call it a tracker that keeps track of how many cards you have that are military cards.
Yeah.
And you can win by having the biggest military grouping of cards. But there are other ways to win. There are science cards, character cards. Why are you laughing at me? This is a card game. As I pound the table. It is a 2-player card game. And I think the reason you're poo-pooing this game is because I have a higher win rate than you.
You kicked my butt in this game. I have no problem with that. This is one of the games that I kicked off my list because I felt like it had too much board. And like I said, you could argue either way on a couple of the games that I kind of pulled off. Mm-hmm. This is one that it was in my head and it bothered that I had it on there. If you want to have it on there, you're absolutely fine to call this a card game because I originally had it in my top 5.
Yeah.
And this would have been probably 4. It was either 3 or 4 before I kicked it off and it had 5 crowns at the 5 and it moved 5 crowns up. Mm-hmm. But just me and my own little proclivities, and I was like, maybe it has too much board to be a card game.
Negative.
According to
False.
Andrea, 7 Wonders Duel is her number one card game. My number one is Forest Shuffle. We talked about this. This is designed by Koch, published by Lookout Games, came out in 2023. We have all the expansions. It is a drafting game where you have to pay for your draft with cards out of your hand. You're planting trees, and then you're putting animals in those trees. I love the combinations. I love the tucking the cards and making the decision which side of the card do you want, top or bottom, left or right. And then when do you push the clearing is where you discard all your cards to. If it ever gets to 10 or more cards, the clearing goes away, goes to a discard pile. They're just gone.
Yeah.
So on your turn, it's also when do I have to grab that card out there? Because there's some valuable cards like, ooh, I really, really want that boar, or, my boar is worth nothing without a squeaker, and that squeaker is only worth 1 point, but it makes my boar worth 10. And I've not seen a squeaker this whole game because every time I've seen a squeaker in the game. Somebody else is tucking under the tree because they're not looking for them. Do I go ahead and take that squeaker? Or do I just go ahead and wait? And then somebody's honing in on your butterflies and like, I need that butterfly. And you're like, well, I'm doing butterflies now. I'm like, you have one other butterfly. I've got 5. You taking my Apollo butterfly. That's bull. Or somebody that's ballsy and goes after the lightning bug strategy. And in a 2-player game, it's really hard to even do that because you're fishing for lightning bugs.
There's only 4 in the whole deck.
And you need
it's a big deck.
Yeah, it's a big deck. And if you're playing 2 players, you're only playing with, 20% of that deck?
Right, because depending on the player count, you
Call
randomly call cards to make it a smaller deck. So the cards that you're chasing could be sitting over there out of the game.
And it being a card game, it is deceptively a table hog. Whenever we play 3 players, it exhausts our table. When Ethan or other friends come over, our table is like just piled full of cards, and it's a great time. But it's one that if it's more than me, you, and Ethan, we kind of need to go to a game store to be able to play it.
Agreed.
But I love the mechanics. I love the gameplay. Love the art. But Forest Shuffle is my number 1. So those were our favorite 7 card games. What are some of yours? If you'd like to interact with us, head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network or catch us on Instagram at 417Gamer Podcast.
And are we missing out by not having Magic on our list? Tell us.
I've not played it. I'm not. But I look at some of my friends that are playing it, and they look like they're having a good time, except for their wallets are crying. But we did say that we missed David Stansfield. He did miss out on this episode. We are going to try our darndest to get him in episode 38. We're going to talk about 4 things. We're going to talk about, we're going to review
Finspan.
We're going to review Finspan. We did Wormspan about a year ago. Finspan's going to be this year. David's going to talk about Tremendicon. We're going to talk hopefully about his 7 favorite games and have another episode. And that'll come out April 20th. But until then, keep gaming.
And the 417.
Bye-bye.
The 417 Gamer podcast is recorded and produced by Andrea and Rick Bagwell. The intro music we use, Kind, Gentle, Beautiful Person, and the outro music, Making Up for Last Time, was created by Origami Replica. For links to our show notes, music, and guest links, head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. Until next time, keep gaming in the 417.
Bill Glenn. God damn it! No!
Sinead O'Connor.
Oh, is that a thing?
What the fuck?
No. Last unicorn.
Some ungodly creature.
Godzilla. Cthulhu.
That was the last game.
Lance Armstrong.
Oh, God.
Snuffleupagus.
Time.